Hi, this is Edward Troxel. In today's tutorial, we had a request to take a series of selected text boxes and export the value of those text boxes out into an SRT file. The first step was to figure out the format of an SRT file, and that is basically each entry has a number which starts at 1 and is just sequential. And then on the next line, it's followed by the beginning and ending time codes in a specific format. And then the next line or lines is the actual text. And then there is a blank line, and then it just repeats for the next text. And so we want to output each text box, the contents of the text box, in that format. And so let's see how we can do that. To output to a file, I added a couple of new variables up here below the Vegas variable, and the first is a file stream variable, which I just call outstream, and next is a stream writer, which we called outwriter. And in our main routine here, we set our Vegas variable, and then, as I said, we have a counter that starts at 1 and just increments for each output line. So I created me a counter line and set it equal to 1. And then I opened a save dialog box, which lets us set the name and location of the SRT file. So this is all that's needed to display the save dialog. And then if they click on OK, we're going to get the file name from ofd.filename. OFD is our save file dialog variable name. And so we get the file name from there. And then we're going to create our outstream, which is a new file stream from that file name, and we're going to open or create. Then we create a new outwriter, which is a stream writer from that file stream. Next, I'm going to change the ruler format. In Vegas, there are several different ruler formats you can have. Mine by default shows hours, minutes, seconds, and frames. And this, for the SRT file, we want hours, minutes, seconds, and milliseconds. What we want to do is save the current ruler format, just in case it was not in that format, and then set the ruler format into the ruler format.time. And the ruler format.time does save it as hours, minutes, seconds, milliseconds. Now we're going to go through each of the tracks in my Vegas.project.tracks. If the track is a video track, no need to even look at the audio tracks, then I'm going to go through every event in that track. First thing I want to know is the event selected? So if the event is selected and it is a generated media, no point of even looking at a selected event that's not a generated media, then I'm going to convert that event to a video event, and I'm going to get the ActiveTake.media.generator. Now, the question is it a titles and text generator, or is it some other generator? The next thing I look to see is the gEffect.plugin.uniqueID equal to titles and text. If it is, then I'm going to get the OFX effect for that media generator, and then I'm going to get the text parameter. So my OFX string parameter, which I just called tparm, is going to come from ofx.findParameter.name and text. Now I need to get the actual text from that, and the text here is in rich text format. And so I want to convert that back to just plain text without getting all of the formatting stuff. If I just read the value, then I'm going to get all of the formatting. So what I'm going to do is create me a rich text box, and then I'm going to set the rich text box.rtf equals the tparm.value. This will read in all the formatting information and put it into that rich text box. Then all I have to do is get me my subtitle string, and I can pull that from the rich text box.text. That will give me the actual text without all the formatting. Next, I need the start time as a string, and so I'm going to get event.start, then I'm going to convert that to string. Now, in my particular case, the string was formatted as hours, minutes, seconds, point, milliseconds. Well, the SRT file indicated it wanted hours, minutes, seconds, comma, milliseconds. So I'm going to replace the period with a comma. And then I'm going to do the exact same thing with the end time. I'm going to create me a new string variable called end time, which I get from event.end.toString, and then replace the period with a comma. And then I'm going to create the string that I'm going to actually output. And to get that, I just called it times. And that's going to be the start time. And I decided to do a .trim here so that if there was any space before or after the time, that would get rid of it. So I want start time.trim plus, and then the file indicated it wanted a space, dash dash, greater than, space, between the two times, and then the end time.trim, just to trim off any spaces that may be left or right of that string. Then I'm going to go to my outrider and write the first line, which is going to be counter, which we set up above to be number 1 to begin with. And then I'm going to convert that to a string, and then I'm going to trim off any spaces that are there. Then I'm going to output the second line, which is the times. And then I'm going to output the third line, which is a subtitle. And then we're going to output a blank line that will be between the lines. After that is done, then we take our counter variable and increment it by 1, which we can do with counter plus plus. You could have also said counter equals counter plus 1, but this will do it. Now as we go on down, once all of our tracks have been gone through, then I want to change my ruler format back to this format that I saved so that we don't mess up the person's timeline. You get it back to the ruler format you had before, and then we're going to close the outrider and the outstream. So once both of those are closed, we are finished. So let's see how this works. So here I have a project that has several, this entire top row is text boxes. And so let's output the first 14 into a file, because it's only going to work with selected ones. I could have made it work with all of them if we had wanted, but the person requested this, wanted it to work with selected ones, and they actually requested that it work on multiple tracks, which is why we're going through all tracks. So let's run their script here. Now it will ask us where we want to save. Let's pick an easy to find location, just drive D, and we'll call this SRT test. Now it is finished. We have our drive D, and we come down here and we find our SRT test, and this is our output file. So we notice we have our number followed by the beginning time code with a comma between the seconds and the milliseconds, dash, ending time code, and then we have our subtitle, and then we have a blank line. Then we have our second one, beginning and ending, and the subtitle, and a blank line. And we should have 14 of them since that's what we had highlighted, and notice it ends after the 14th entry. So there's a simple little script which will let you output into SRT format any group of text boxes that are on the screen. It'll give you the beginning and ending time codes correctly, and it will let you see all of the different entries that you have listed and just output them, and then you can use them however you need to use them. So I hope you found this tutorial useful. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next tutorial. Please sign up at www.jettv.com and subscribe on YouTube to get further notifications on when new videos are presented.